After seeing 2 dead goats in one place in one day, not spread out over the whole area, in one location in one day, and having a resident tell me that he saw a dead goat in the pen up the road, I gotta wonder exactly how many goats do they go through every season. Now add to that the reports of the abuse, that they were beating a lamb, like kicking the crap out of a baby. So then you, besides the abuse, you remember that there are babies being born out here. They've got pregnant goats that are still forced to go out here and graze and are giving birth out here. And I guess if the baby isn't ready to keep up with the herd, it gets punished. That's nice. So anyway, let's just put compassion for the animals, whether they be adults or babies. Let's put all that aside and just focus on the finances, since that's what humans seem to relate to now. So financially speaking, you have a slave labor force that replenishes itself through reproduction. You have almost no costs because the open space is feeding your animals, and no medical attention is required because you just let the sick ones fall behind and die. You leave the carcasses behind because that's legal. Apparently they don't get fined for littering. Let's see. There's never anyone in charge. It seems like they have a clue ecologically. It's all exploited minority workers. Can't imagine that they're being paid very much. What other expenses? I mean, they're constantly on the move, so transportation between spots is about the biggest expense. I should change what I said. Constantly on the move, meaning that they never actually return to a home ranch or a home, encampment, a home slave quarters for the goats, because they're grazing California year-round. So really transportation isn't even much of an expense because they set up camp and then just move slowly across the hills. They've been here for months already, and it looks like they've got several more months ahead of them, and then they'll just go to the next location. If you don't mind exploiting a system and exploiting the habitat, exploiting the taxpayer, then financially, maybe you should get into goat grazing. Maybe that's the real reason that it's taken over California. And as if all that wasn't enough, you still have the goat milk industry supplying baby boys into your goat grazing program. So you have so many goats that you can afford to send some of them to slaughter for a little extra money and when they're young, and you can send some old ones to slaughter when you see that they aren't going to be able to keep up, or you just force them to go out there anyway, like they do with a lot of them that fall behind and die. It's a beautiful industry. If those are coyotes, that's weird because that's right down in that neighborhood. Anyway, I'm actually jogging back out at night to see if coyotes are at that carcass. Well, this is really terrible news. The fucking idiots in charge have now fenced in this only area that still has monkey flower. It's exactly as I feared and posted in my previous video. I can see the goats up there. Wow. They actually fenced the goats into the only area that has any fucking native plants left. I shot video just yesterday of the coyote brush right here. explaining how it was important for the coyote brush to be thick and full of foliage for the birds. And sure enough, here's the fence that means all that's going to be destroyed. Let me show you this really quick. Remember when I was talking about habitat fragmentation earlier? So now they've sectioned off this area. And this spot over here that I was complaining about randomly being up, even though I haven't seen goats in it any of these days, is still here. And I already know that the goats are over there because I just filmed them. This area continues to just be random fencing that is blocking wildlife movement. And it goes all the way past the crescent of that hill. I'm not concerned about running into coyotes. Maybe I'm spoiled from years of good experiences with wildlife. Maybe I'm spoiled from years of diving with sharks that left me alone. But I give nature a lot more credit than I give humans. I don't think just the fact that I'm here is enough to make a coyote attack me. I think that they know how to find easier targets than a big, weird, scary bipedal creature. In the dark, my senses are heightened and I smell a lot of shit. Here's confirmation that they moved on without cleaning up their trash. Here's confirmation that this carcass is being left behind. Nice. And let's go see the other carcass that was actually in with the goats. Pretty obvious that they're not the same animal since the other one has been gutted. This is just, a few feet from each other. Like I started ranting about earlier, what is the actual number per location? How about per company? How about per year? Does that belly look pretty swollen to anyone else? I'll have to ask a vet. But you know what else I should do is walk the rest of this and see if I stumble across any other carcasses. Well, I'm making my way back in the dark. You can't see me, but I will share some thoughts. As is so often the case when you're trying to help the environment, when you're trying to stop destruction, the burden of proof is on you, while the green light to cause the damage is granted without really any burden of proof on the people who want to go in and do it. For example, I was just thinking, how many dead goats do I have to find to establish a number of how many goats per year die out in wilderness areas and are left behind and become food for wildlife or whatever happens to them? Let's just say out of curiosity, you want to know what that number is. Well, I'll bet you there's no requirement put upon the livestock industry to provide that information. It would be up to people who are concerned for the goats or concerned for the habitat or concerned for changes caused with local wildlife who become habituated with eating livestock. It's up to all those people to try and figure that out. The actual owners of the grazing company, the actual owners of the livestock, the municipality that granted permission for the grazing to take place. By the way, I'm looking at the goats right now. You guys can't see them because my iPhone won't pick it up in the dark, but I'm passing them again on my way home, huddled together up in the trees and next to this coyote brush and monkey flower. There's no burden upon any of those groups that I just mentioned to keep track of such data. Anyone think that if you wanted that information, it should be on them to provide it? They're the ones bringing the goats in. Maybe they should be the ones keeping track of how many goats leave, how many goats are born out in those areas, how many goats survive, how many goats get eaten. Nope, absolutely not. It's basically a free-for-all for them, on the taxpayer's dime, and causing damage that most people can't even wrap their heads around ecologically. I don't know if you can see the blinking light. Did you see that? Anyway, that means that the fence is charged, and that's why I'm not going in there. Not that I need to disturb those goats any worse. What was I about to say? So I'll just rant to anyone still listening as I walk home. I've called the city, I've called the parks department, I've called the police, and I've been getting the runaround. I'm gonna do it all again eventually. I'm gonna try again. But I'm just curious, who thinks I'll actually get anywhere? Who thinks I'll ever find anyone who has answers? Do you honestly believe that anyone in charge of spending your taxpayer dollars on this program has any ecological knowledge whatsoever?